the greatest land migration in the world. And those dedicated few who record it. Life-threatening drama is filmed in the midst of 2 million wanderers. How does a lone veterinarian treat so many patients? How can they survive? Find out in The Wanderer's Tale. The annual migration of 2 million wanderers in Tanzania's Serengeti National Park is one of the most awesome sights in the natural world. It's a tidal wave of movement that sweeps around the Serengeti, a vast herd constantly in search of grass and water. Of the 2 million wanderers, over 1.5 million are wildebeest. They are accompanied by one man, Hugo van Lawick. Hugo is a legend in wildlife filmmaking. His passion for his animal subjects and his eye for natural behavior have earned him global recognition.
I arrived in Africa in 1959, so I've lived here for 35 years now. I always wanted to work with animals, and I chose filming as a way to work with animals. So I joined a film company in Holland first, working as an assistant cameraman doing commercials, and then came out here to film animals. At that stage, I thought I'd only spend 2 years in East Africa. And then I also liked traveling. I wanted to travel around the world. But once I saw the Serengeti, I felt there was nowhere else in the world that would be better, so I stayed here.
In 1962, Hugo began working for the National Geographic Society after a recommendation from world-famous anthropologist Dr. Louis Leakey. Hugo was impressed by the outstanding work of naturalist Jane Goodall and filmed her research on wild chimpanzees at Gombe National Park. This work was a revelation to zoologists. Hugo started his career as a wildlife still photographer. His books on African wildlife have always presented the animal characters from a very personal point of view.
First time I came to Lake Ndutu was in 1962. I was actually based at the Olduvai Gorge, where I was filming Dr. Leakey's work on prehistory. And I came to Ndutu and came right up to the lake, and it looked fairly barren here. It was dry season. And I put up this camp here at Ndutu, and I've been here ever since '67, in fact.
Hugo's Ndutu camp has grown and prospered since 1967. It is a self-contained home away from home for filmmakers. The camp overlooks Lake Ndutu, a barren, parched landscape for most of the year. Surrounded by acacia woodlands, marshes, and shortgrass plains, it is as self-sufficient as any camp can be in the middle of the Serengeti. Vehicle maintenance is carried out by mechanic Andrea Away. Four-wheel drive vehicles are a necessity here. Camp life is informal, but the work is hard. Ndutu kitchen staff provide a great variety of dishes, including the basic ones. A temperamental generator provides limited electricity, but washing machines are not practical in the bush. Self-sufficiency is the way of life here. Services we take for granted elsewhere are all carried out in camp. Water for showers is provided by rainwater and sometimes taken from Lake Ndutu. Filmmakers keep fit by jogging around the lake. Wildlife is abundant here. Unfamiliar with mirrors, birds fight their own reflections. Janet Hill is responsible for the smooth running of the camp. The most important part of her duties is communication with filmmakers and the outside world.
Arusha. Fine. I think we're going to get some rain. How is it in Arusha?
Solar panels, as well as backup car batteries, provide power for the radio. If communication is lost for a long time, the camp comes to a standstill. Hugo's office support is in Arusha, a town 6 hours away by road. With a population of 20,000, it is the largest town in northern Tanzania.
No, Janet, I thought that...
Janice Beatty is Hugo's office supervisor. There are at least 2 radio calls a day made between Ndutu camp and the Arusha office. Janet Hill is the focal point of Hugo's camp. She's camp manager, logistics supervisor, and staff counselor all in one.
He's actually in Arusha as we suspected.
The Arusha office is Janet's link to the outside world.
On Wednesday, over. I know it would make your life easier, but I'll try and find out.
It is by radio communication that Hugo's camp functions. Crews have to be mobilized, supplies have to be ordered, and staff have to be managed.
I have one last thing for you, Janice, over. Okay, what is it you need? We need to order some items from the UK, over.
Even the simplest items have to be ordered by fax and may take months to arrive. Pre-planning is vital in the bush. Despite modern technology, camp lifestyles in Africa haven't changed too much. People's basic requirements were still the same then, and if they had to go without a refrigerator or a dishwasher, then that was all part of the adventure. Thankfully, some things have changed. Hunting is still permitted in Tanzania, but in very few controlled areas and for high prices. Nowadays, the preferred choice seems to be watching wild animals on television, not mounted on a wall. This wasn't so in the 1930s. Early filmmakers had rudimentary hand-cranked cameras, but there was the same thrill filming a lion as there is now. Lions have been here for 1,000 years and have enjoyed the same relationship with wildebeest during that time. Supplies have arrived from Europe to Arusha on Janice's birthday. She packs them up and sends them off into the bush. As well as being the camp mechanic, Andrea also drives the supply truck. He has a long journey ahead of him over bad roads and through bush country. The wildebeest's never-ending journey takes a little longer.
When I first came here, the most extraordinary thing that struck me was the wildebeest migration. And although I'd filmed bits and pieces of it for other films, I had never really made a film about the migration as such. And that's ultimately what I wanted to do. The migration covers an area of almost the size of Holland, Belgium, and Luxembourg over a period of a year. It's the most spectacular mammal group in existence today. Nothing compared to what the buffalo would have been before they were murdered in America, where there were 50 million.
To Hugo, the migration is triggered by the wet season rains. The herds cross the Kenyan border from the Masai Mara National Park into the Serengeti. The boundaries of the national park were set up to accommodate the wildebeest's 500-mile round trip. When Hugo first arrived in Africa, the great herds were only 200,000 in number. After the eradication of a cattle disease, their numbers steadily increased. Today, they are over 1.5 million strong. The other 500,000 is made up by Thompson gazelles and zebras. Both species travel with the wildebeest and form giant herds which search for food and water.
During the rainy season, they come to the shortgrass plain, and apparently some of the grass has minerals which are important to the wildebeest, especially for the production of milk. So the birth season happens here.
Most female wildebeest give birth within a 3-week period, flooding the short grass plains with 500,000 calves. The relatively small number of predators are spoiled for choice. It's an extraordinary natural event that ensures a good percentage of the calves will survive. This is the time when most animals give birth. Zebra calves swell the herds, as do the newly born Thompson gazelles. Wildebeest on the migration route are almost continually hunted. Their calves are particularly vulnerable. Within minutes of being born, they are able to, in a matter of hours, they are able to keep up with their mother. As vast as the Serengeti is, the national park has only one wildlife veterinarian, American Melody Rolke Parker.
The real challenge of my job as the Chief Veterinary Officer for Tanzania National Parks is that I have to try to figure out the major disease problems for 1 million wildebeest, trying to determine what are the significant problems that these animals have. And so one of the things that I do is periodically drive through these herds, basically doing my rounds, if you will, trying to just take a look and see if I see animals that are not up to snuff, if they're lame or if they've got skin disease or what have you. So I can learn a lot by just being here when animals do die so I can take appropriate samples, so I can find out what are the significant problems. And it's not, I don't particularly care if I find one animal with a broken leg. It's what are the big picture questions? What are the diseases that are affecting many, many, many animals? And the Serengeti is a huge expanse to try to keep track of. This looks like a really healthy little calf, and I've had a lot of reports of young wildebeests or aborted fetuses down here, and so I'd like to get some comparative samples so I can see what a normal placenta looks like.
Melody has competition. Vultures regard wildebeest afterbirth as a sought-after meal. It is rich in nutrition.
Oh, good. Look, we're in luck. So I was worried that that bird had eaten everything before we got here. Okay, here. Yeah, well, this will be great, because with this afterbirth, with the fluid that's around the baby, there are several tests you can run to look at the health of this baby and maybe learn something about different diseases. It's kind of a peculiar color, isn't it?
Just after being born, wildebeest calves must get to their feet, and fast. Golden jackals move in to eat the placenta. The ever-present vultures compete with the jackals. They are not welcome. Black-backed jackals are bold, despite their small size. The noise has alerted a spotted hyena. The usual prey response to predators is simple: run. The wildebeest mother has protected her calf against the onslaught. On the migration, only 2 out of 3 calves survive to adulthood. A healthy calf and mother may outrun jackals and hyenas. A pack of wild dogs is another story. Wild dogs are the most efficient killers on the plains. They cut through the herds after singling out their prey. Once their target is selected, they rarely fail in making a kill. Once again, it's a calf they're after. The mother defends with vigor, but the odds are stacked against her offspring. This battle raged for 30 minutes until, astonishingly, the wild dogs gave up.
It used to be believed that predators would keep the herbivores down to certain numbers, but this is certainly not correct. The predators can't possibly keep the number of wildebeest down to 1.5 million. It's mainly disease which keeps them down.
Potential disease in large herds is Melody's most urgent concern.
Many diseases are things that are completely brand new to me. They're not North American diseases. Many of them are not even well documented here in the wild and elsewhere in Africa. So I have to basically start from the beginning and look at every case as though it was a brand new situation.
The wildebeest turning disease, this is when a wildebeest goes round and round in circles until it dies, as far as I know, is caused by some sort of worm which goes into the nose and then finally gets through to the brain and affects the brain and kills the wildebeest in the end. It's a terrible sight to see this poor animal just walking around in circles.
If alert, wildebeest can defend themselves against large predators, but how can they protect themselves from a worm? A sick animal will not last long in the Serengeti.
I studied wild dogs and photographed them extensively in 1967. I started for a period of about 10 years on and off, and I also had students studying the wild dogs. And throughout that period, the numbers seemed to be slowly going down. But we didn't know the reason. We knew there was an occasional disease in the pack. And I thought it might be one of the natural cycles of numbers going down and then they'll build up again. But this never happened, and it turned out it was a disease that came back every so many years. When I was studying them, there were about 150 wild dogs just on the shortgrass plains, so a lot, 10 packs. And it could be the last time that we see wild dogs in the Serengeti.
Melody is on the lookout for signs of illness.
This is a yearling, and you can see the situation with his neck, that really thickened scabbiness to the neck. This again is this mange that I'm starting to see over the past 6-8 months. And that rear leg, that peculiar deformity there, that could either be from trauma, or more likely, this is a leftover from a problem I saw last spring when these calves were being born, of big swollen joints, something called joint ill, probably due to infection that they received from the umbilical cords when they were born, because they were not in very strong condition because of their mother's stress condition when they were pregnant during the drought. This is a prime candidate to be taken out of this population within the very near future, even over the next couple days, by a lion or a group of hyenas.
Despite their reputations of being scavengers, hyenas are remarkably successful predators. As the herds move through the plains, hyenas pick their moment. They are the most common hunters of the migratory herds and will go to great lengths to make a kill.
For a long time I could film behavior, action, but whenever I filmed the scenery it wasn't terribly good. So I felt for the wildebeest migration this would be vital. And I then spent a year taking still photographs of animals and scenery to try and find out what is it that you need to make a scenery look good. And then I felt ready. You know, I really had to find out what does one need in light, or what does one need to make a scenery really look spectacular. And it is, to a large extent, light. On this wildebeest film it'll be different, and I'll be going more for the beauty of the scenery, the beauty of the light, these vast herds of wildebeest with the predators everywhere they go. There are predators trying to get hold of them, including the flies. A successful natural history film, to me the most important thing is story, and then good photography, beautiful photography. But I've concentrated my films very much on individual animals, trying to find out their characters, personalities, and then hoping a story emerges from that, which so far I've been lucky that it has.
Under a darkening African sky, the oil lamps come out in Hugo's camp. While resident filmmakers enjoy their evening meals, the generator hums softly, merging with the natural sounds of an African night. Video equipment and computers are as vital to filmmakers and scientists in the field as they are to those in a modern office. So are lights in all the most important places. But generators are temperamental. The wildebeest are on the move, and Hugo must follow them. It is only by dogged patience and tenacity that stunning wildlife behavior is captured on film. Of all the dangers faced by the herds from predators, a muddy river doesn't seem too alarming or dangerous. Mud can be washed off, but only if there is water. On some of the animals, the mud covers their entire bodies. As the mud is baked in the dry season sun, it becomes a skin-tight prison. Exhausted with the effort of crossing the river, a young wildebeest succumbs. Death soon follows. The migration route includes permanent waterways which the herds are anxious to reach. Although adult wildebeests can go without water for 5 days, the urge to find water is powerful. Then they must drink. And they must keep moving. Traveling on towards Ndutu is the supply truck. This vehicle is the lifeline to Hugo's camp and makes a twice-monthly journey from Arusha to Ndutu. Hugo has rejoined the migration.
To get action sequences really is a matter of luck if you're driving around and you suddenly see something and then you have to react very quickly. But it is often just sitting with the animals and waiting.
There are about 1,500 lions in the Serengeti, and they make their presence felt. The dramas of the wildebeest migration are there are a lot of calves born and a lot of calves lose their mothers. Now mothers will search for their calves for up to 3 days, go back to the spot where they last saw the calf. But often it is the mother's been killed by a lion or is drowned crossing a river. And so you get these orphans running around, and no other wildebeest will accept an orphan. And then these orphans will follow anything that moves, including a car. I've had them coming up to the car and trying to suckle from the car, and it's not a nice sight. A lion kill will cause a stampede. In that rush, calves will be separated from their mothers. A lone calf stands little chance against a spotted hyena, unless it can join a nearby herd. The zebras don't seem to be comfortable. The lost orphan has endangered them by attracting the hyenas. The zebras attempt to push the orphan out of the herd. Wildebeest calves need to be part of a herd. Their instinct for safe and secure company is strong. These hartebeest are just as unwelcoming as the zebras. An adolescent male lion comes across another orphan, lying prone in the grasses. Inexperienced, he is not sure what to do. This calf was lucky. Circling vultures are a sure sign of a prospective meal. Melody has beaten them to their intended victim.
It's a good thing I saw those birds sitting down here. Otherwise, we never would have seen this little guy.
Melody has found a dehydrated orphan calf.
Okay, heart rate's 42. 42. And note that he's, okay, this is a little female. It's not born today. Its umbilical cord is already dry, so it's yeah. Now that I don't know if that's because it's been laying out here in the sun, or if she's got a fever. All right, let's see if he can stand up. Goodness, I don't see any wounds. What's your problem, kiddo? Have you been abandoned? Did you get orphaned? Huh? So many babies get lost out here. Their moms get spooked, they run off, and then the baby just gets abandoned. And usually these things are picked off really readily by the predators.
Lymph nodes are not enlarged.
No, I don't feel. This mouth looks okay. Okay, baby doll. Yeah, I don't feel anything in the lymph nodes. He's a bit dehydrated. He could just be another abandoned baby, and he's laying out here cooking. It's 105.5 degrees. I'm afraid a little one like this, there's really nothing we can do for it. I mean, we're not in the business of being a zoo out here and rescuing little guys. It's just a matter of trying to document the kinds of problems that wildebeest have, and taking blood samples, and we'll put it someplace maybe so the vultures don't see it, potentially come back later, and when it does succumb, I can take some body samples and just rule out whether or not it's got a disease or not. But at high probability, it's an abandonment.
Melody's job often presents her with imminent death. It is a fact of life in the national park. There are some lucky orphans that eventually make it back to their mothers.
Somebody can be the best camera in the world, but if he doesn't fit into this atmosphere and the group, the people I've already got, then I'm not interested. Gil, for instance, had worked in editing rooms and other things in the film business before. He joined me for a holiday here first and then came back, spent 4 months with me in the car, and then he was given another car with a camera to go and start shooting his own stuff.
Gil has returned to Ndutu camp to brief Hugo on his progress in the field.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Dusty,
Good
but
to
well.
see you.
How are you?
Fine.
Long time. Good.
I haven't had a cuddle like that for a while.
You haven't?
No.
What are you doing, Baker? Any buffalo hunts?
Not lately, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
No, but
But you think you've got those filmed anyway?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, they've just been going for warthog and
Really?
wildebeest and zebra now. Well, all the prey animals have just moved back into their territory, so they're not going for the
Yeah,
difficult options.
you told me over the radio about the hippo. Tell me more.
They nervously grazed, and the buffaloes completely. The lions completely surrounded them.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I look forward to seeing that.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I think lions attacking hippo is pretty unusual.
Yeah.
And they were riding its back virtually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Many years ago, I was told that the lions lived exclusively off hippos there.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well,
I'd always wondered how they do it.
I had wondered about the Tokito pride because they spend so much time in the marsh. I wonder if they're targeting hippos a lot. But my pride, the Mungi pride, I think it's really rare. I mean, I haven't spoken to anyone who's seen it.
So how about the cubs?
Yeah, the lions are leaving them alone at the moment because all the wildebeest and zebra are in their territory. So the buffalo are having it easy for a while. The warthogs are having a very bad time at the moment.
The wildebeest herds have almost come full circle. Flocks of quelea birds erupt from the grasslands, an airborne multitude that briefly accompanies the 2 million wanderers. Elephants also migrate in search of food and water. Theirs is not such an epic journey. Film shot by Gil and Sophie Buck, Gil's filming partner, has just arrived at Ndutu Camp.
Hi, Hugo.
Hi, how are you? Oh, that's good. Sit down.
Yeah.
I was just looking at the lion hippo stuff. I just rewound it, looking at it again. Amazing stuff.
Oh, good.
I've never actually seen landscape hippos before. I've always wondered what they would do. It's amazing they'd even try.
Yeah, but it's...
Oh my God, look at it.
Yeah, it's mostly the big youngsters trying.
The sub-adult males.
I'm not sure how serious they were. Look, but...
That's pretty
Oh.
serious.
Yeah.
It could be.
Yeah, wow.
Could be.
That's amazing.
I suppose out of
Oh,
the
good.
water is a bit
Splash.
That's a nice dive.
Incredible.
This river is covered in water cabbages. This plant was introduced to the Serengeti from South America and has no natural predators here. It flourishes unchecked. Hippos inhabit the river by day. Together with buffalo, they are the most dangerous large animal in East Africa. Grass-eating buffalo and hippo are responsible for more human fatalities than any carnivorous predator. The wildebeest are not their prey. The great herds pass through acacia woodlands. Here, another predator awaits. A lone cheetah isn't a threat to adult wildebeest, but calves are at risk.
When the short grass plains dry out, and that's usually May, June, May usually, then the wildebeest start moving away into bush country, and a lot of them will move towards Lake Victoria. And when they get fairly close, there's a river there, the Grumeti. That is a very dramatic place because you have these giant crocodiles, 20 feet big, some of them, who are waiting there for the wildebeest to come down and drink. And of course the wildebeest have done a long trek in dusty country, so they're keen to get down to the river to drink.
The Grumeti River is a permanent source of water for the exhausted and thirsty herds. It's also home to the most terrifying of predators.
One of the most important things of wildlife filming is being able to anticipate what an animal does. It's really, it's a matter of patience.
These crocodiles may grow up to 21 feet in length and weigh up to 2 tons. Filmmakers and crocodiles alike need patience to achieve their goals. An unsuccessful attempt, but the crocodiles know that thirst will force their prey back to the river's edge. The urge to drink is overpowering. It's the last few miles of the Ndutu supply truck's arduous journey. While the all-important supplies are being unloaded, Andrea is able to deliver Janet's package in person.
The other two queries will have to wait. Hugo isn't around and Brian isn't around, so I'll have to come back to you on those, over.
Okay, I'll come report them.
Okay, I need to speak to Patrick, but I can do that this evening, no problem, over.
Okay, bye for now.
Yeah, bye for now, standing by.
To us, basic supplies are a simple shopping trip. To those at Hugo's camp, receiving a mere toothbrush is a triumph in itself. Despite the practical difficulties of running a camp in the Serengeti, Hugo still perseveres. Filming the wildebeest migration is his lifelong ambition. One man and 2 million wanderers. It's Hugo's lifetime commitment to make the world aware of those wonders which still survive in the natural world.